Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. It is about 9:35 here on our Wednesday night. It's bad news. You don't even know what day of the week it is, right? Or is that good news? That means you're not having to live for the weekend. All my days run together, so I don't know when the weekend happens. I wake up and go, oh, was it Sunday today? So thanks for joining me. We're going to talk about the threat for more storms for tomorrow. 2 rounds, actually. It's going to work its way across parts of Oklahoma, Texas, and some of it will be severe for some damaging wind and hail. So we'll have that to deal with. Yay, right? Sometimes that's the way it is. We'll wind up our severe weather season here in about a month. We usually run to about the middle of June as far as our unofficial ending. We still typically have some stragglers that go on to like maybe early July, but those usually few and far between. But we start to transition over to what we call MCS season, which means we're getting a little bit of a taste of it now, which is kind of like a little squall line action that does come through. All right, I put all the links in the broadcast channels where you can either support me or join the Facebook broadcast group if you'd like. That way you get notified when I do go live. I'll send you a message in your DM. All right, let's see. All that stuff is done. So let's see. So let's get on with the program, shall we? By the way, thanks for checking in. Tell me where you're from out there on Twitter, X, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the radar. Is there anything out there right now? There is not. But we do have temperatures into the 70s. Doesn't quite feel as humid as it has the last couple of days. By the way, we're still getting some earthquakes around here. I noticed one there today. A couple of them here, just little ones, 1.5 on the west and southwest sides of the metro. Where is the rain if it's not here? Well, not too far away. It's developing over here into Colorado, so these showers and storms get going across western Kansas here. Some of these have already had some wind up around 60 miles per hour in some of the reports, and even a few, looks like golf ball size hail, and also reports of some funnel clouds, maybe even a tornado up here. But anyway, that activity will get moving on, and then we'll have the storms out here in the eastern New Mexico also affect western Texas. So there's some activity out there this evening, just not across our area just yet. All right, so here's a look at temperatures today. We topped that into the mainly 80s, and it was a little on the warm side down here. We had 87 degrees in Hollis, looks like, for one of the state's hot spots, along with Altus and Granfield in southwest Oklahoma. If we look at the satellite picture, we talked about those storms bubbling up across Colorado. And as we go through time, again, we're kind of in a southwest to west zonal flow. We started southwest, then we're going to go zonal, and then we're going to go northwest. So basically all that means is it just drives these storms a certain direction. And basically when we get down to it, they all have a tendency to start to kind of move into a southeastward movement. That means they'll come through Oklahoma, then what's left of them will go through Texas, and sometimes they can keep on going all the way down to the coastline. But usually brings in some pockets of damaging wind, some hail, but also some beneficial rainfall. So our severe weather outlook for Thursday, remember last night I think the outlook was something like this, and I told you that they would extend it to include Oklahoma City. So that's what they've done. They might even go a little bit more to the east. Kind of just depends on how things evolve. Right now the model data is kind of keeping most of the bulk of the stuff out across the western half of the state. It does include Dallas-Fort Worth, by the way, and most of western and northwest Texas into the Panhandle region. As far as the threat is concerned, we're looking for up to golf ball size hail, up to 80 mile per hour winds, and the tornado potential in these cases are always very, very low. They're not zero because you can sometimes get like a QLCS tornado, but they're pretty low, about as low as you can get for this time of the year. Now the AI algorithms do favor a little green area here, potential for a tornado across parts of Kansas and Texas. Just a little sliver here of Oklahoma. Otherwise, it's got the hail here and the wind here over kind of a large area. All right, let's take a look at what I want to do next. Let's just zip on into timing of things. This is going to be actually a pretty short broadcast, believe it or not. I know you just said, what? Can you repeat that again? You heard me. Let's see here. Let's go to tomorrow. All right, so here's tomorrow morning. This is a lot of lift, mid-levels of the atmosphere. All right, so that signifies where our storm complex is at daybreak. Now, as we go into lunchtime, look what happens. That moves right here over central Oklahoma, so the body of the state. And then as we go into the afternoon, that keeps moving on down to the south and east. So by evening hours, it's across western Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and north Texas. And then here we go, round number 2, kicking off across eastern New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle. So that's our second round for tomorrow evening. And that moves into, by midnight hours, across the western, probably third of Oklahoma at that point. And this is pretty meaty. So in other words, the signal here is much stronger than that prior signal. So it keeps those storms going to around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on I-35, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then as we head into the morning hours, now the models will tend to kind of weaken the lift, but there's still a lot of red here, which does indicate lift overall, eastern Oklahoma down to central and southern Texas. And there's some residual lift with the upper level low here on Friday, some additional wraparound, at least isolated activity during the afternoon, and that will move on off into Arkansas for Friday night. And then let's see, on Friday night also looks like another little wave here, once again coming into the northwest around midnight. So by morning hours, what's left of it moves through Oklahoma. Maybe get a regeneration down here along the Red River for Saturday morning. And then let's see what happens. We're going to repeat the deal on Saturday. No big strong signals there, so Saturday looks pretty good. And then here's Saturday night for Sunday morning, another round loading up, which will probably come through for Sunday. So it looks like, at least according to the timing of lift in the atmosphere, our best driest day statewide will be Saturday, with about 2/3 of the state dry for Friday. All right, let's just zip on into how this may look on the model data. So here's that look of precipitation. As evident in that lift in the atmosphere we talked about, moving through into central Oklahoma for late morning into the lunchtime hours, moving through the state, then moving on off to the east. Now this particular model for the afternoon moves everything here into western Arkansas, still holding together. Doesn't really move the line into north Texas, but it does bubble up some other showers and storms down here. And then we've got that secondary going on here in the afternoon and evening hours, and that moves into western Oklahoma during the evening into the, it's a little faster as far as that signal goes. The other indicator I was looking at was from a different model. So this one's moving a little fast as far as the actual storms are concerned. It has it through Oklahoma City coming in around 10 o'clock and points southward. Pretty beefy line. It's a pretty good squall line. Again, you're going to have a lot of wind with this. You see his little bow echo region going through Dallas-Fort Worth. So unfortunately, another wind event for you guys. And then let's see here. Then we zip into Friday. So there's that lingering wraparound scattered showers down across the Red River. Otherwise, still some scattered stuff there in northeast Oklahoma under the upper level low. And the strongest activity will be down now into central and southeastern Texas as we head into Friday afternoon. All right, just curious, see what this model does for the wind. I imagine it's going to be pretty gusty with that secondary line. Let's take a look here. Yeah, this guy right there. So some of these winds that do move in, that's well over 65 miles per hour. All right, that's about it there. So not bad. That's usually about what happens. This little thin line of wind goes all the way down here to North Texas, like I said. So, okay, so let's look at that model. Let's look at our other one. Let's go with the HER. It probably has a pretty good idea what's happening. All right, move this through time. So here is tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., northwest Oklahoma. As we head into 7 a.m., continues moving through the northern parts of the state. 8 o'clock in the morning, there's that secondary batch out there from eastern New Mexico is also joining in on the action, looks like. So there's 9 o'clock, there's 10 o'clock in the morning. So late morning after you already get to work. Otherwise, around lunchtime, look for scattered showers and storms here from central Oklahoma up to Stillwater, Ponca City, and also that little batch out here across western and southwestern Oklahoma. Looks like they try to meet up at lunchtime. This one's got a little bit more of a punch to it. You see a little bit of a wave action with this one, so a little bit better of a signal for some damaging winds across southern Oklahoma for 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 4 as it moves through now into southeast Oklahoma with a nice little bow echo. This model keeps the majority of the line, again, north of Dallas, but does carry and bring up at least some isolated stuff down there in North Texas. All right, it does move on in then by 5 and 6 o'clock for Dallas-Fort Worth area. It does have a little bit of a helicity track with this one on the tail end. That can sometimes be tornadic. Let's take a look at your shear forecast. Really good turning with height, very low LCLs. There'd be a little bit of a tornado threat there for Dallas, according to this model for your evening late afternoon and evening. So keep advised up there in Dallas-Fort Worth. Even though the models had only had a low threat for a tornado, it looks like as far as the data is concerned, you got a pretty significant one, whereas it'll be a straight line wind event here in southeastern Texas or southeastern Oklahoma for tomorrow afternoon. All right, now let's look at that secondary round that comes in for Thursday evening. There across the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle as well. 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock is starting to move now into the western third of the state. This one's a little slower than that output we saw a minute ago, although we do kind of pop up some additional storms here on some probably a leftover outflow boundary from the storms that moved through during the midday hours on Thursday. So by 11 o'clock in the evening, about the western half of Oklahoma will have their storms moving through. Some of these will be severe, wind and hail with those. Let's see, there's 1 o'clock in the morning, so that's more storms also down in Dallas around midnight and so. Let's see here. That'll go through 2 o'clock in the morning. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 a.m. on Friday, some lingering showers, elevated thunderstorms here across the state. And as we head into the late morning to lunchtime for Friday, nice little wraparound up here in northeast Oklahoma. Now this model does not produce a whole lot along the Red River at this particular point like the other model did. Kind of keeps it all in northeastern Oklahoma. Then those little isolated showers and cells that pop up on Friday. But again, most of the state, you can see about 2/3 of it is pretty dry, with the exception of the upper level low track, which is in the far northeastern tip of the state. And that's how your Friday looks. Let's see, I did not look at Saturday with this data. We can take a little peek here. Just going to forward this on. We'll zip on into that periods. There's Saturday, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m. Yeah, it has these storms out here falling apart at 7 a.m. Just some light showers or sprinkles up here in northwest. Not much to drive it home. And then we'll see what it does beyond that. Let's take a look at this data here. So there's our little deal Sunday morning, a little stronger. So this signal looks like it may make it. So we'll see what happens on midday Sunday afternoon. If these storms hold together, that may affect your weekend plans. Rainfall amounts. So looking at the data here, just blending the models together for future rainfall events up through, I got you through Sunday evening. Still widespread, 1 to 2 inches. Some areas may get a little higher than that. Maybe you get some 3 inches. So in those cases, you can sometimes get some brief flash flooding. So always keep that in mind, especially if you live in a low-lying area. All right, here's a look at temperatures. Still, as we mentioned, because of the clouds and some of the rainfall around, will stay a little bit cooler. So 80s and upper 70s. So low 80s to upper 70s. Once we get that kind of baked in. Let me look here. That is for Thursday. Let me see what's got in here for Friday. Ending Friday. I'll go right here. All right, on Friday, about the same, maybe a couple degrees warmer, because remember, it's going to be a lot drier, especially out in this part of the state. So return to some 80s, and then that's really all it's going to take us to. Then we'll look at this for the rest. So basically, close to 80 here in Oklahoma City and surrounding areas. Your miles may differ, so use my weather app. It's free. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It'll give you your backyard forecast every day of the week for the next 7 days. Here are the trends. We'll be warming things up a little bit over the weekend, mid-80s. And as we head into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a lot hotter, unfortunately, a lot more humid. Now, these are the days where the atmosphere has a lot more instability. So that means the severity of the storms will be stronger for any that do move through Oklahoma. So kind of keep that in mind for next week. You may have a bit more of a signal for more widespread damaging wind and hail in that particular case. And that's pretty much it. So Ron says, that model hoses my plan. I don't know what your plan was, but yeah, I understand, man. Nothing overnight in Tulsa. Things are quiet here across the state, which is good. But those storms are marching their way in from north and west as we head into our morning hours that we talked about. Angela, thank you for the stars. I appreciate it. Shelly wants to opt out from the round of storms. Ron, thank you for the stars. I'm seeing all these new avatars. You guys, all these cool avatars now showing up everywhere. I guess I got to get on the page here. Nancy, thank you for the stars. I appreciate you. Now, if you've had, and Casey, thank you as always. Who else we got? Robert, appreciate you as well, and Debbie. So thanks for the love on the stars tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We've had obviously quite a few storms around. If you did get hail at the house, just a reminder, call my friends over at Ferguson Roof Systems. They'll take a look at your roof, and they'll let you know if there really was damage or not before you call your insurance. And there's going to be obviously a lot of opportunities for that because we've had a lot of storms this spring. So many of you probably did get some pretty decent hail. I lucked out here. Thank goodness, knock on wood. No hail at the house. Let's keep it that way. Double crossing. Otherwise, we still have some more severe weather opportunities. We're not quite done. And then, of course, we'll kick in summer, which I'm sure some of you like me are ready for the heat and dry weather. I'm done with the severe storms. Definitely done with the tornadoes, that's for sure. But usually we squeeze out at least a couple more through the middle of June. So they'll still be out there at some point. In these particular cases, like I said, QLCS ones are the more likely ones, unless we can get a day where you get some supercells around here. And right now, in the short-term data, that's not in the forecast. It's these lines and line segments that are. Now, the exception would be like for North Texas, like Dallas, for example. We did see a pretty good signal there, which would be some tornadic supercells for you at the tail end of that little squall line for tomorrow afternoon and evening. So heads up in the Big D region, just in case that happens to verify. Well, Thomas, good. I'm glad I kept you safe. That's the main goal. And by the way, thank you for everyone who did send me messages. By the way, Kristen, thank you for the stars. Sent me messages saying that either my coverage really helped you out for the tornadoes that did occur down in North Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas, and or my weather app, which gave you the alert that said twisting storm approaching and was able to give you a lot more time to seek shelter before the tornado sirens went off or before the tornado warning came out. Obviously, any extra minutes you can get in that situation is good stuff. Thank you, Becky. So you can always get that at the Apple and Google Play stores. Just look for AT's Weather or AT's Weather to go, and it should pop up there. Trying to think of anything else I want to talk about. Let me just check you guys real quick on the digital platforms. Robert, thank you also on YouTube. Appreciate you, buddy. Make sure, by the way, you guys like and share the content on all the social media platforms you're on, and click the subscribe button. I know you get tired of hearing that, but I'm going to let you know. Unfortunately, this is the real world. If you don't know how the real world works, I saw a thing from YouTube the other day on how the algorithms work. And honestly, if you do not interact, if you do not like, if you do not share, then the algorithms interpret that as being you're not interested, the content stinks, and therefore doesn't show it to anybody. So, and there's nothing I can do about it. I have no control. So the more you guys interact, obviously, with the pages, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it is what it is, and it doesn't take much to hit the old like button. I know you're probably tired of it. Your fingers are on that phone all day just doing this. I'm just asking for one more. Anyway, and that will help out with the algorithms, and then that way everybody keeps getting the info that they need. And I got some little news for you. I don't know what the full news is going to be, but I'm telling you that I got the wheels cranking. So as you know, I've been doing this since 2010, social media for weather, and then for all broadcast weather for tornado coverage and forecast discussion stuff since 2014. All right, so everybody knows I'm the first to have done it. I'm the pioneer. I created it, built the studio in the house, went all in on social media. All right, and I did it when there was no money involved. It was just me helping the community because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I've always loved to do. That was my job in television for so many years. Now there's a lot of people that copy, all right, and they copy my formula because they saw that it worked. They don't give me credit or anything, and they pretend like no one's done it before except for them. And I see this stuff, I'm shaking my head, going, "You're just a turd. You're another human turd." So what I'm going to visualize is that everything I've done is going to be done now in spades, like in droves. Like there's a lot more people that are going to be coming in, and these won't be degreed meteorologists, all right? These are going to be drifters, these are going to be con artists, they're going to be just anybody who loves weather. It's going to be a whole mixed bag, and you won't know the difference, all right? So I'm thinking, what do I do next? Because I've been there, done that, and it's time for me to create something else. It's time for me to reinvent weather and or something, and I don't know what that is yet, but it's put me at that place because I have to still be positive, right? And I have to still feel like I'm contributing. And when I see the landscape change, I have no control over the outside, copycats. I can't do that. And as funny as for you guys is, I go and I just to check. I did a little survey. I went to look at a lot of the different weather outlets, and I checked all their comments. And I swear you could copy and paste the exact same comments for everybody, meaning that there is really no difference in the content creators as far as the people who follow them. Everybody's loved. Everybody thinks they're the best. Everybody's the best forecaster. Yada yada. Fill in the blanks. Doesn't matter. It's all exactly the same as duplicate. And I'm sitting here thinking, because in my mind, I was light years ahead of everybody else because I'm actually a degree meteorologist where everybody wasn't. And I trained you as far as how to look at weather, reduce the anxiety, brought it down to science, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, but there's no difference. So how do I process that? How do I cope with that? Where do I go from here? There's another aspect in weather, which is all of it's free, right? I mean, and you guys know that too. So for content creators, the only way to make any money at this is either like donations, like what I got from you guys, that'll do, or you sign up for your subscriber of your platform. Well, we're getting into the 500, cable channels. Well, you're going to be getting into 500 weather people that you follow. And you obviously can't contribute to everyone. So there's going to be this trade-off where a lot of these people are in it for the money right now, and they're going to make some money due to the YouTube ads, Facebook ads, whatever, and then those platforms of contributing, and then the market's going to get really flooded, and then you're going to see that being a lot harder to do. Now, that may take a few years. It may take 5 years, it may take 10 years, but it'll get there. And then for me, because again, money wasn't the driver, it helps to pay the bills, but I got to come up with something else. I got to be something different. And I don't know what that is. I'm also on a different path of, and I went on this the other day. Some of you got a little bit of a taste of it as to where I'm going with this. And I got to be careful about how I tread here, obviously. But the point is, everybody has an ego, all right? And that ego, believe it or not, is self-destructive. And ego causes a lot of problems. In church we'll say you got to get rid of your ego so you can love more like Christ, etc. And believe it or not, it's a very difficult thing to do because we're all created with one. And that's what drives us. What makes us to be the best, right? And so mine isn't for accolades or when you guys send comments. That doesn't do anything for me as far as that goes. What I guess could say feeds my self-ego is my self-creation. In other words, whatever I can create, did I create the best that I could come up with, and could I make it any better? All right, so that's kind of where mine is. It's a how much can I create, given from the gifts within me that God has blessed me with, and then the position that I put myself into. So I have to start transitioning over to something different. So I want to get to that stage in life where I don't look at humanity and I'm disgusted. Because if you guys have looked around lately, there's a lot to be disgusted about. And I want to get to some level of awareness, consciousness. You want to fill in whatever word you want to use. Enlightenment. You can use Christ-like, whatever you want to use. It's all the same. But the point being is, I want to get to that point where if I see 1,000 copycatters, I don't care. If I see, death and destruction, it doesn't affect me. In other words, if I see humans doing human things to, is what I'm saying, then somehow I can be detached from that and I can be nothing but love. And that's a very strange concept. It's not logical to me. But I need to get there so I can feel different about where I am in this space and where I am in this time frame, all right, going forward. I think there's more to life than, doing what you're told, getting a 9-to-5 job, paying your taxes, raising 2.5 kids, retiring, and then dying. It's got to be way more than that. And yeah, you can say, it's building if you want to go on the Christian side, you can say it's building a Christ kingdom. If you're not Christian, well, then what do? Make a bunch of money, and then what? Die with it, pass it on to your kids, spend it. So everybody's going to have something else besides that standard stuff. And so I'm going deeper to find out what that can be for me. And probably some of you have already gone through this process, and maybe you've already come out the other side and you're much better for it and you see things differently. So I'm still, and I got to be very careful how I tread because I don't want to get anything that's too crazy. I don't want to get anything that's going to lead me down the wrong path. But so I'm a scientist though, and I love to dig into everything. I mean, somebody tells me something, I'll go look it up. I don't care. And then I will educate myself. So I'm going to look for the proper way to do this, but a lot of this is going to be a little bit different than probably what your typical religion would teach you. We're kind of taught to look for Christ as a second coming. He's coming from the clouds, for example, rapture and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm analyzing and looking into more of the Christ within. So in other words, that he literally, figuratively lives inside you that you can express internally and to reach God in that fashion, a whole different level. In church we'll say it a lot, but doing it is differently than saying it. How many of you can say, I'm 100% love, just like Christ, and I don't hold ill will of anybody. I love everyone. Obviously, nobody can say that because it's impossible with the human nature in you. So there's a lot of people that have gone down that pathway, and they're figuring out different ways to try to achieve that. Some of it call like the chakra or whatever, and that's why I asked earlier about the crown chakra, if anybody had reached that. But the point being is you have to get to that level to where you have a lot more love for everyone, even your worst enemies. And that's difficult in human nature, and that is difficult with the ego. So that's where I'm going. So where this weather platform, where it ends up and all that, I don't know. But I'm going to still create, because that's what I do. Maybe I'll figure out something else to take this to a different level. I haven't thought of before. I'm not sure. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting. It's a lot to absorb. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. But over the next probably year, I would like to at least tackle a big chunk of that and get some good direction and see where that takes me. So I'm excited about it. This is different. I know you guys probably don't hear a lot of people talk about this, but it doesn't take much to look around you and go, man, you know what? The world's a lot different today than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. All you gotta do is open up your eyes. If you have any discernment at all, if you have any, smell test that it doesn't pass, something's up. And with the COVID that happened recently and how humanity turned on one another, just like that, so fragile, ready to destroy one another. This whole planet is ready to destroy each other. And I'm like, it can't be it. This cannot be reality. So I reject it, and there's got to be something better. So I'm going to go to that level of, you might call it an awakening, where you realize that this planet and everything on it's fake. It's like Matrix says, as the movie calls it, where it's all materialistic. It's all driven toward what the chakra people would talk about is the level 1, 2. It's down into the very bottom end. It appeases to your most sinful nature, your gluttony, sin, all that kind of stuff from the flesh that keeps you there, and it doesn't allow you to ascend higher to how Jesus was able to ascend. So that's kind of where I'm looking to go. We'll see what happens with that. All it does is going to help me love people more, so I don't see anything wrong with that that's going to cause that to be a problem. It'll be a challenge because there's some people out there I think are turds, and I would rather just go ahead and just call it, say, hey, why don't you just go ahead and remove yourself from the planet so we can all be better. But if we're all together, as in we're all one consciousness, all shared experiences, that's a problem. That's not going to work. So I got a lot of figuring out to do. It'll be fun. I'm going to dive into it. Maybe I don't find much, or maybe I find everything. Who knows? Maybe write a book about it. But obviously you're going to be able to see it in real time as we go through these next few months of covering the weather. Maybe you'll see a change and say, man, you know what, Aaron, you got a little halo around you. You got a little glow about you. You seem a little happier these days. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Or maybe I'll just come back and be cynical and say, everybody's a turd. So we'll see. All right. Well, hey, anyway, that was a little sneak preview of what I'm working on behind the scenes. We'll see how that goes. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Hope you sleep well. Again, I'll be around tomorrow in case there's some of those storms that do get a little crazy. I only typically cover tornadoes, but if there's like a big damaging wind event, we're talking like 70 plus miles per hour over a larger area. Obviously, that's pretty significant. So I usually do cover some of those. And then we'll just kind of take them as we go. Otherwise, if you don't hear from me or see from me, have a great rest of your week. Talk to you soon. Take care.